So the present enduring mood for you, what is it? Overall.
A bit tired. But
Tired.
Yeah. So not too much thinking.
Mm.
Not too much.
Duller.
Yeah. That's why the mood is
Opaque.
Yeah.
So various ways of describing it. So when you're describing like that, how does that feel? That same thing you're describing.
I feel unpleasant.
It's unpleasant. And what shape does it have? The same thing you're describing that feels unpleasantly.
A shape? Like a cloud.
Like a ambiguous pressure cloud.
Yes.
So what do you think then you were describing now?
What do I think?
What are you describing now? By these descriptions, by description through feeling, description through how it's being perceived.
An image.
And what is that image then? What does that image stand for?
My mood.
What does your mood stand for? What is present enduring feeling and present enduring perception? What do they determine?
The mind.
The mind.
Yeah.
So you're describing the mind basically.
Yeah.
There's no mind
Shape
without
of
the
the
image
mind,
of the
yeah.
mind. Yeah. Mind is the shape of the mood.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in Satipatthana, elated mind, depressed mind, lofty mind, heavy mind, light mind, whatever, any epithet you can add to it. Because that's the extent of its appearance. It's a kind of a certain shape that's being felt of a certain mood on that general level. So what's the problem there then? Why, and anybody can ask it, so why am I not an arahant then yet? If I'm not an arahant yet? If you're seeing the mind correctly, arahantship is not in the content of your mind, so it's not like something you're missing out, but it's in your attitude towards your own mind, the assumptions you have, towards the own presently enduring mind, not the mind of yesterday, mind of tomorrow, this mind that we just described right here, right now. So presently enduring mind of an unpleasant state, of an unpleasant mood.
What's the problem with it?
Is there a problem with it? Where's the problem? If there is, where is it? Because not understanding where the problem is why you're not still completely free from suffering. It's not because you haven't waited long enough, or that's why some people need a fortnight or half a night, one night. Some people need like 3 nights, 7 nights,
7
fortnight,
years.
6 months, 7 years, whatever. So if there is a presently enduring shape of the mind, the mood basically, that's what the mind is pretty much, that's felt disagreeably, is there a problem with that?
Is there a problem? I don't know.
What do you think?
Well, I have to look at what exactly is the problem. Is it hurting me? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, anything that you would deem needs fixing. That's what definition of a problem is.
Okay. So the problem is...
Does it need fixing? Let me ask you like that then.
Yeah, there is I think there's an attitude that it shouldn't... That's not a good thing to have dullness, opaque, cloudy mind.
Right.
That's not the optimum state.
Yeah.
So what is the optimum
Exactly.
state?
Now that you kind of shed light onto that attitude, then you ask, okay, but do I know what the optimum state is? Why is this not optimal state?
Yeah, why can't I... What is the optimum state?
Yeah.
And also, isn't that optimal state an idea that can't escape this very mood
Sure,
that I'm just describing?
Yeah. Like, would you be able to even ambiguously have a notion of an optimal state if this unoptimal state. It's not there enduring.
Yeah.
So here you are, completely gratuitously, have an assumption in regard to quite clearly described present enduring state of mind, yet you have ambiguous assumption that something must be done, but you don't quite know what, where, to what an extent. It just feels that way. So why would you think that is the case then? Why would you hold such an assumption?
Because it feels pleasant. I don't want
Literally.
pain.
So the only reason you're thinking that this is not optimal is because you want to get rid of it. And ironically, it's because you want to get rid of it. That's why things are not optimal.
That's why you feel the pain.
So things are not optimal because the mind is in a dull state. As Satipatthana Sutta says, he knows his mind as dull mind.
Yeah.
As elated mind, as elated mind. There is neither optimal nor non-optimal. That's just a state of mind. So you could see that then he knows dull mind is dull mind, means he knows this, what we just clarified. So you carrying assumption that this is not optimal because basically on the emotional level you're still resisting the displeasure, means you don't know the mind to that extent. And that's why you're finding it unoptimal. That's why you want to replace it with a more optimal state.
It's like complaining that the weather. It should be sunny, but it's cloudy.
Yeah, but that's a bit too far removed. What you described was quite accurate, and what I'm pointing out is now even more accurate on top of that. So yes, a view, it's just the mood and stuff, but you want to see that even the slightest attitude towards present enduring mind, first you recognize that attitude wouldn't be there if present enduring mind is not there. What you pointed out, that already kind of rounds up the image as a whole, as opposed to you just blindly trying to replace it. And then you get to reveal that the only reason this is deemed unoptimal is because you don't want it. And the reason why it is truly not optimal is because you don't want it.
But it
not because of what it is.
Doesn't and isn't that based on the assumption that
Doesn't matter what it's based on.
Well, I was just thinking, like, to say that I don't want this is again this assumption of something outside of this that can change it, that can.
Yeah, but again, like, see, that would. What I'm trying to stay on the level of you just removing the attitude without needing to overly explain what you're having attitude for, which would be accurate, but it's going to start leaning on the side of theory.
Okay.
So the present enduring mind that's still presently enduring is regarded as an unoptimal, also presently enduring within that. It doesn't matter how it came about or why it came about. You just want to realize that that attitude of this is not optimal is why it's not optimal.
But the attitude is enduring. That attitude
of course, yeah.
So when you say like, so I'm craving to get rid of this pain.
In order
That's
to you
the mind.
stop craving to get rid of the pain, you basically start including it with an attitude of, also this is not optimal, is within the present enduring state of such and such mood and such mind. That then you will stop not wanting because you're accepting it on the right level. The only reason you're not wanting it is because you don't know that that's what the problem is. That to Satipatthana is he knows the mind as such, and that's why it's the right mindfulness. So you don't want to provide the answer as why you shouldn't want it. You just want to realize that your wanting or not wanting of it is gratuitous. And it's that gratuity that you maintain, that's why the problem is there.
So if I don't want, there's a state of mind I don't want, there's anger. You're not saying recognize it and then move on.
No.
Recognize it.
Where would you move on?
It's not a problem anymore once you recognize it.
No, that's not quite what I'm saying. Because, see, you recognize your mind, but you haven't recognized your attitude towards the mind. As this description started, you recognize the mind clearly, you describe how it feels and stuff. I even ask you about the attitude. Is there a problem? You describe that. But you haven't recognized that was the problem. You thought the mind was the problem. You thought the mind was an optimal state. So you saying to somebody, just accept anger, it will help them initially to that extent, but you need to accept more than that, than just accept the reason anger. You need to accept the lack of knowledge through which you can develop the knowledge where the actual anger is, and it's not in the mind. It's in your lack of knowledge of the mind, which is not to be found anywhere else apart from the mind, but it's not the mind. Like as the Buddha said, the nature of Upadana, it's not the five aggregates, but it cannot be found anywhere else apart from the five aggregates. And that's why, those generic instructions as be here now, don't judge things, and just accept whatever comes your way, does offer a relief to people. Because it offers like a blanket acceptance, and it works when you are rejecting things. But it doesn't work when you are overly accepting them. Your blanket acceptance of overly accepted things doesn't work, it just makes it worse. That's why these generic views are still the wrong views. But they get something right sometimes accidentally. And you don't want to rely on the accident. So it's knowing the state of the mind, as you clearly did, as you described, knowing how it's presently being felt, knowing how it's presently being perceived. And then basically peripheral to that, revealing your own attitudes towards it. Such as, this is inadequate. Great, there you go. See, unless you clarify the mind, you wouldn't have said, this is inadequate. No, but okay, the mind said, okay, so what's the problem then? Okay, and perhaps if I didn't question you in that direction, you would have not maybe arrived at it right away. But the point is, you did. And then, okay, so the problem is, feels inadequate. And now that brings light to that. Okay, why? Why do I regard the present enduring state of mind as inadequate? Inadequate for what? Inadequate why? No idea. Yet the attitude is there. That's exactly the point. You will press why, and you will see that the only reason why is because I haven't been thinking why in regard to this particular attitude. I haven't been thinking why am I regarding this as inadequate, which is why I've been regarding it as inadequate, because I didn't know it. That's it. And that's literally uprooting the ignorance, uprooting things that you've been ignoring them because of which they were there. That's it. But not the mind. You're not uprooting the mind. The mind doesn't disappear. But uprooting those things that shouldn't have been there in the first place, like Upadana, is not part of the aggregates. You can't measure the aggregates and measure Upadana in regard to it. It's just not in them. It doesn't manifest in aggregates. Which means it doesn't manifest. It's always peripheral. It's always the attitude of ignoring what manifests. And you can't then have the ignorance manifest in front of you and then choose to stop ignoring it, because you'll be ignoring that. So it's on the level of the attitude. Attitude that can only be understood through you digging up in that direction and revealing, this is a present enduring mind, this is a present enduring feeling. Do I understand it? Well, to an extent. Okay, what defines that extent of my understanding? Why do I say I understand a little bit? What little bit I do understand? Well, now I'm aware that it endures, I'm aware of its characteristic, that it's manifested and so on. Great, so why am I not an arahant then yet? Well, that's a good question. Or maybe, because it's kind of still not adequate. Not adequate for what? Then you realize you have no idea what it's not adequate for. You just kept assuming, because that's how you started. You started by knowing I'm not enlightened, I want to be enlightened. And then you've been doing the practice, and some of it might have brought you closer to it, but you'll never get enlightened until you uproot your wrong ideas of what enlightenment is. You'll never find adequate, optimal things until you uproot your ideas of this is unoptimal. Which is the reason why things are not optimal, not because they were not optimal in themselves. Because you just kept regarding them so. That's what we spoke before, like enlightenment is not at the end of some great pursuit. The element of nibbana, the element of dispassion, removal of aversion, delusion, distraction, ignorance, is too close to people's point of view. That's why it's invisible. It's not because it's hidden in some mysterious cave or something. No, it's just so close that you can't see it. Your threshold of seeing starts way down the line. And that threshold of seeing is determined by the threshold of your assumptions. Because see, like, unless now you clarified, or at least hinted at certain increased clarity in regard to the present enduring mood of any kind and your attitude exhibited towards it. Optimal and unoptimal. What criteria do I have for judging this? But until you thought about it, that's it. Anytime you felt in a heavy, hazy, ambiguous mood, your attitude entirely was sheltered unoptimal. Done. You don't go closer to it because it's not optimal. So you just sort of go about your day enduring until it changes and something deemed as more optimal comes. Yet optimal and optimal was your attitude, wasn't in those things. Wasn't in the state of the mind. So for as long as you're alive, as long as there are 5 aggregates, as long as there is mind enduring, having like manifestedly enduring, things are more than optimal for full understanding. The only true unoptimal state is when you're dead. Okay, now things are not optimal.
Because there can be no discernment, you mean?
Yeah, because you might end up in a worse place off where you won't be able to think, or a place even more pleasurable where you won't be able to think. And as you yourself revealed quite accurately, the only reason it's not optimal is because it displeases you, because it's felt unpleasantly. And the reason why a person is not an arahant is because he still has craving in regard to how he feels. So the present enduring mood that's uncomfortable, that's the extent. And that's not an issue. Nothing within that can be an issue. But it's you gratuitously still holding on to the attitude of, I have a right to not want disagreeable. And because of that, the entire experience in its content is deemed as not optimal. Because of how it makes you feel, not because of what it is. So you stop maintaining your attitude in regard to how you feel. Can any perception bother you then? Doesn't matter how it's felt. Can then anything that manifests to you be optimal or unoptimal? Would it be even conceivable? When you're not feeling it anymore at all?
It's just a feel.
It's literally, it's just manifest the thing that endures. It's just the 5 aggregates manifesting, 5 aggregates enduring, having manifested, that's it. So the practice is really just reminding yourself of that direction that you obviously already know. That's why it's not enough to get the sense of direction once, the right direction. You have to keep doing it because you don't know what things are gratuitously there, because if you were to know them, they wouldn't be there gratuitously anymore. So delve with a knife, as the Buddha said. Keep cutting, keep digging, keep cutting, splitting, cutting, not for the sake of theoretical scholastic analysis, but for the sake of clarity. Yeah. So I suppose this is the right analysis. You're not analyzing things in a theoretical sense, but in actually present enduring sense. That's why I don't like to call it an analysis.
Vibhanga, I guess, is the Pali term for like cutting.
Dissecting, yeah.
Dissecting.
But dissecting not in the terms of like, look this, look this, look this. Although when you put it in words, it's going to sound like that if you don't understand any other way of dissecting.
Yeah.
But we just dissected
it's more
through the present enduring feeling. We dissected the present enduring attitude in regard to that feeling, which we then dissected further that's where the problem is, not as originally assumed on the level of the mind.
It's not so much about splitting things apart, but looking at things within things, within things.
Yeah, delve with a knife, dig through the same hole further and further and further, as the Buddha said.
So just once you see where the problem lies.
Yeah, if you see the actual body problem, like see, you thought first that the problem was the mind is not optimal, but then through contemplating it together, became clear that it's your attitude in regard to mind where the problem is, and that unoptimal mind attitude was rooted in that, not in the mind. So seeing where the problem is actually rooted correctly undoes the problem. Well, not seeing it once, you might have to see it a few more times, because it's a habit of regarding things in a certain way.
I think the mind, which is dull, is the problem.
Yeah.
So so you start off with that.
Yeah.
You still have a problem.
Exactly.
Why is it still a problem?
Yeah.
Because
that's why I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you, do you have a problem? I asked you, what is your present enduring mood? Because that is the container of whether there is a problem or not. That is a container of whether it's an atta suttava putujana or it's a completely fully enlightened arahant skilled in all jhanas. The mind is there, enduring. So that's the container. So what is that? You described it. Then I started asking about a problem. But yeah, is there a problem? We wouldn't have been talking about your mind, and wouldn't have been talking about a problem that you regard to be within your mind. We would be talking about the idea of the problem, an idea of the practice. Present enduring mind. How is it felt? How is it perceived? Is there a problem with it? If not, are you already an arahant? Oh, no, I'm not. So where is the problem then? So there must be a problem there. So, well, the problem doesn't seem optimal. Okay, great. So you have an attitude that's also real, enduring there. That's why it's important to not keep trying to deny things. Oh, no, it's wrong. I must get rid of this. Because through not denying the present enduring mood, through allowing it to endure, through not denying the present enduring attitude towards your mood, allowing it to endure, you get to understand that the problem is there because you are putting it there, not because it was rooted in the mind. But if you haven't even allowed your present enduring mood to endure, if you were too busy observing it or trying to monitor it in the level of sensations or ideas, you wouldn't have seen any of this.
So what removes the problem is the discernment.
What removes the problem is not being ignorant of the true nature of the problem.
Yeah.
Not misconceiving the nature of the problem.
So if there is still a problem, it means I haven't understood the true nature of the problem.
Yeah, exactly. And whether you wonder there is still a problem, ask yourself, am I completely, fully, unshakably free from suffering? The answer is no, means yeah, there's a problem. So where's the problem?
It's not about replacing. I do a technique that sorts out, makes my mind sunny and bright.
That means you don't know where the problem is. You blame the problem on the state of the mind, for which you have no say in arising. So you blame basically problem of your upadana, of your assumptions, you put it in the aggregates. Oh, it's the aggregates problem. I want to change the shape of the aggregates. That's how I change my problem. That's how I deal with it.
Yeah, I want to change things to so that it feels good.
Pretty much, that's what it boils down to. Not that the person is aware of that attitude.
If something is wrong, apply technique to get
it right. And the definition of right is it feels pleasing to me.
But I guess it's that's all the only direction you know if you can't see that the problem is in not the things, but
if you don't have the right view.
Things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As we said in previous talks, you can't practice rightly without knowing what the practice is. And knowing what the practice is where the right view begins. So the idea that, I know I don't have a right view, but I also know what a practice is because I can practice.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I'll
quite a dangerous idea.
To get right view.
Yeah. And that practice, is that practice right?
I don't know yet.
Exactly. So how can you then do it? So what do I do then? Well, you get the right view. So what do I do to get the right view? Well, stop maintaining the wrong views. How do you stop maintaining the wrong views? Well, by learning what the right view is. How do I learn what the right view is? By thinking about the right view, what could be. By understanding the nature of it. So that's the closest to the method you can get. Trying to understand. It's the closest to what you can do in order to understand. So it's like, I will not try to question the nature of the right view or the wrong view and try to understand it. No, I'll just do this.
Yeah.
I'll just do what Ajahn tells me.
It's easy.
And not, cause that's it. Because I have faith. You can have all the faith you want.
But we've been told that craving is the problem.
Yeah, of course. You need to be told where to look.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
If you weren't told that.
Yeah. That's where the two factors for the arising of the right view, utterance of another, as in of another who knows,
so when you
and then you rightly attending to it.
Yeah. See the mind, but see the attitude.
Yeah, see, like we see the mind. See, unless you start questioning, say you started completely, first time you hear this, I need to see my mind, you have some idea what that mind is. But your practice is not about now figuring out what your idea is. Your practice is undoing that idea. Because your starting point of an unenlightened mind is the point of the wrong view. In regard to whatever you choose to attend. So I have the idea what the mind is, that's fine, but I shouldn't be building my practice on the idea of the mind that I have. My practice should be undoing the idea of the mind that I have until I arrive at the right idea, and I'll know it's a right idea because I'll be unable to suffer amid suffering. I wouldn't need to protect it, defend it, or get all upset when I come across opposing view. That's another thing. If you get emotionally threatened by hearing an opposing view, that should tell you something about your own views. Why would you pose an existential threat to you? A difference of opinion. Doesn't mean you accept it, by the way.
You said the utterance of another. Paratagosa. Para can, noticed in the Pali, para can mean another. But you said like it has to be somebody who has the right view. But para can also mean outside or beyond.
Yeah. Suttas.
It's like outside of this perspective.
Exactly. So anything, whether it's a written word, uttered word, whether you actually get to talk to somebody who understands or not, whether you come across it, but the point is, it has to be from outside of your point of view.
Yeah.
Has to be outside from your point of view, not any random thing outside of it, but the right thing outside of your point of view. Because you're fully enclosed within the attitude of ignorance. You can't just choose to not be ignorant, or like, I choose to not cling to this. I choose to not get all upadana about this. It's not a matter of choice. If that's a matter of choice, literally all you need to do is choose to become an arahant. Yet it doesn't work that way, doesn't it? It doesn't matter the power of your conviction. So knowing, in order for you to then, when I asked you what are the characteristics of a presently enduring mood? How is it felt? How is it this? How is this? Even that already requires you to already know what your mind is to that extent. Which means you already have undone a lot of wrong assumptions of what the mind is. If I ask you 15 years ago, what is your mind? How are you feeling right now? Do you think you would give me even a remotely similar answer? No, because for most people, their own thoughts don't feel like they don't even exist. They're not real. They exist, but they're not real. Let alone then which is peripheral to the thoughts, which is the state of mind. It will be just abstract shapes and ideas, and you have no concept how to relate to it. And it doesn't matter what they are in the content, whether they're shapes or ideals. What matters is your attitude towards it. An attitude of an ignorant mind towards his own mind is that he doesn't see it, as in it's not real. And that's exactly why people deem real things to be only things that come through their senses, because that's how far removed they are from recognizing their own mind as a real thing, which is a real thing. Would you be able to tell me the shape of your mood if that shape wasn't there? Would you be able to create the shape out of nothingness if it wasn't given as an option to be created? Thus it was there. And most people wouldn't even regard that as a real thing. Although they'll be talking about it, acting out of it, at the same time they regard it as not real. Not real means not worth attending to. Not worth attending to means not worth dealing with. So I'll just do instead of this, I'll just see how my belly feels when I breathe. I'll just concentrating on the tip of my nostrils. What is that? Sense object, sense object, sense object, sense object. That's where the reality is. The closer I look at the sense objects, the closer to the reality I am. The closer to the assumed reality you are, which is the reality of your own assumption. So in other words, your own assumption, your own wrong views grow.
So the attitude is for or against that mind.
So in order for you to discern your attitude towards the mind, you need to discern the mind. In order to discern the mind, first you need to allow it to endure in whatever state it's enduring. Stop trying to habitually interfere with it or change it for something deemed more optimal. Then you get to reveal your attitude towards it, which is overly accepting, overly denying. Either way.
Or not seeing it.
Or not seeing it.
For and against and
turning away from
it, yeah.
I don't want to think about it. But all of those attitudes, that's the irony of it, can only be exhibited within the present enduring mind. So that's why greed, aversion, distraction can never really make any difference to the aggregates. You cannot really escape them. You cannot really turn away from them. You cannot really get to them closer if you want them present. You can't.
They're all, that greed, hatred, delusion are kind of all about trying to deny or get away from or
get more of.
Yeah.
As if you are separate from it, so you can get more of it for you. So learning how to allow your mind to endure, develop that method.
That's your method.
That's your method.
Your attitude is for a particular mind or against a particular mind.
But either of that, all of that can only be on the basis of presently enduring mind that you're obviously then not seeing or not discerning. You have a sense of it, but you're not discerning it, which is why you're trying to get rid of it, or trying to get more of it, or trying to override it with the attitude of what you think it should be, as in more of it or less of it, or none of it. All of those things are possible only because it is there.
And they're all within it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It is there.
Yeah.
It's silver.
It comes first.
And stays first.
Yeah.
It didn't come and
no
then
matter how much you
stayed
try
in the
to
past. It's there.
get in front of it.
It's one.
Yeah.
The all, as the Buddha would say. The all doesn't disappear when you start engaging with its parts. No. The only reason you can engage with its parts is because the all is still there. The all being the five aggregates.
You said that the attitude is unnecessary then.
The attitude is gratuitous, yeah. Greed is gratuitous, greed is an attitude. Aversion is an attitude, is gratuitous. Distraction is an attitude, is gratuitous. It's unnecessary. Because why? Because it can't be there in the first place. It makes no difference to the aggregates in the first place. The only reason...
Makes no difference.
Yeah, not knowing that it makes no difference, that's why you keep trying to make a difference, which is the whole existence of samsara.
So then what is the attitude when you
Is relinquishment of all attitudes.
Yeah.
That's the attitude.
So would you say the attitude is indifference?
The attitude of...
attitudes being unnecessary.
Well, the extinguishing of attitude, you can say that's an attitude. But that's the only one right attitude. Also known as Nibbana. Because Nibbana is also a Dhamma, like other things that you exhibit. But it's the only Dhamma not determined by anything, any basically wrong assumption.
Could you say indifference or like equanimity?
Sure.
Kind of
that's how it's felt.
Just looking on, upekkha.
Yeah, the relinquishing of all attitudes towards the five aggregates is the attitude that's felt equanimously, which means it's not being felt. So by all means, develop that attitude towards everything.
The right attitude.
That's what we said. Be like fire, be like earth, be like wind. Because wind doesn't get bothered by whether it's pleasant or unpleasant things, it blows over. Fire doesn't care what it burns, whether it's disgusting things or agreeable things. basically develop your attitude that's going to go beyond pleases me, displeases me, and thus I decide this should be here, shouldn't be here. That's why I accept it, that's why I reject it, that's why I neither accept it nor reject it. So develop the utter indifferent attitude towards how you feel, not towards what you're feeling. Because that's the domain that people can't see. Everybody, okay, I'll start emulating the attitude of equanimity towards everything that comes my way, which kind of does still imply that the problem is in those things, which is why you're equanimous towards what I hear, see, which is a good start, but don't expect that to result in complete freedom from suffering.
You're indifferent because you want it to change.
Yeah, sooner or later that attitude will run out of its determination, and then you will be bothered by things that come your way. But if your attitude is in regard to whatever's being felt presently, and there's always something presently felt, means your attitude is in regard to the nature of feelings, not anymore the content of them.
So you have to be skilled in feeling, really.
Yeah. Which is me being skilled in the mind.
Yeah.
Because there's no mind without the feelings. There's no feelings without mind. So when people practice letting go, oh, this upset me, I let go. This upset me, let go. Well, practice the same let go towards present enduring feeling, not towards whatever caused that feeling, just towards present enduring feeling, for as long as it endures. Because then people will start to let go of the feeling by the means of getting rid of the feeling. No, that's not letting go of the feeling, that's you trying to get rid of the feeling. What happened to you letting go of it? Means not interfering with it. So don't interfere with presently arisen feelings. That can be a method, another method, there you go.
Not interfering. Yeah.
Don't interfere with present enduring feeling.
I like this, don't interfere.
Yeah. But see,
but that could be an interference.
Yeah. I will not interfere with this. Okay, great. Ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Why am I not interfering with this? Because I don't want it there.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're interfering with it through your non-interference of it.
Yeah, it could be like my ignoring.
But it's still closer than you blaming
yeah.
things because of which you felt.
So it could be preferable, but still it's
not close enough, it's not accurate. But it can result in greater accuracy then. Because you stop being concerned with the objects now, with things you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, even thought, but only concerned with what's present enduring feeling, and then try to not interfere with it, which means try not to indulge it, try not to get rid of it. Or as the Buddha said, don't delight in it, don't welcome it, don't what was the other one?
Remain holding.
Yeah. Don't basically grip onto it.
Don't keep holding to it, keep holding to it.
Mm. So loads of methods.
Yeah. Well, have you got two so far?
So it feels like too many.